Now, some people in India, including those linked to the RSS ecosystem, and some who have served at the highest levels of the Indian Armed Forces, have started to advocate for people to people and trade resumptions with Pakistan. As I was listening to them, I got reminded of a creature from our history, the dodo bird. The dodo did not go extinct because it was weak. It went extinct because it failed to recognize danger. Even as hunters arrived and killed one dodo after another, the rest remained absolutely calm, unbothered, almost convinced that the threat was temporary or exaggerated. By the time they understood the reality, there were absolutely none left to survive. Unfortunately, some Indians advocating for normal relations with Pakistan sound dangerously similar. Every few years, after every terror attack, after every infiltration, and after every proxy war, a section of our intellectuals and political class suddenly rediscover the language of people-to-people contact, trade and dialogue with Pakistan. And this, despite the fact that Pakistan's official position, through its stated military doctrine also known as Operation Topak, endorses the use of asymmetric warfare and terrorism to weaken and destabilize India. And then we are told, not by someone who doesn't understand the subject,
हमें यह नहीं भूलना चाहिए कि आतंकवाद का न कोई देश होता है और न कोई धर्म,
but by someone who is the Defense Minister of India, that terrorism has no religion or nationality. Really? Then why do so many globally designated terror organizations trace their roots back to Pakistan-based Islamic groups, openly operating in the name of jihad? Why are groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Hizbul Mujahideen not fighting for humanity, but invoking religious extremism?
You should always be ready to engage them in dialogue. That's why diplomatic relations are maintained.
Okay.
Trade and commerce goes on.
Yeah.
Visas are being given. So that we should not stop it.
The RSS General Secretary Dattaraya Saple advocates for people-to-people talks and trade relations with Pakistan. Our own former Army Chief Narawane also endorses this sentiment. But India's official position has repeatedly been very clear. Terror and talks cannot go hand in hand. So what exactly has changed? And what disturbed many Indians even more was the description of terror incidents by the RSS General Secretary.
Pinpricks it's trying to give, like in Pulwama, etc.
As pinpricks. Were the Bombay attacks pinprick? Was Pulwama a pinprick? Was Uri a pinprick? Or was the Pahalgam, where discriminately Pakistan-enabled terrorists came in and killed 26 people on the basis of the religion they belong to? Why do we constantly pretend that the problem is only with the Pakistani military establishment, while absolving the ordinary Pakistani civil society, believing they are different? Remember, the foundations of Pakistan itself were built on Islamic political separation and civilizational othering. That sentiment does not suddenly disappear between the military, the politicians, the civilians. It flows through the entire ecosystem, and that language may change, but the hostility towards India, and specifically those belonging to the Indic faith, remains deeply embedded across institutions, across public discourse. Just look at the absurdity of Pakistan's own political climate today. In a recent assembly debate, the opposition lawmakers were accused of being draw agents simply for not backing the Army Chief Asim Munir and the Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. Imagine the level of paranoia and anti-India conditioning in a country where political dissent automatically becomes working for Raw. This is not fringe rhetoric. This is mainstream discourse inside Pakistan's political system. Indians need to understand that it is the civil society in Pakistan which is the foundation of all of the problems, because they breathe oxygen and life into the Pakistani establishment that at every opportunity uses terrorism and other means to bleed India with 1,000 cuts. India has seen this cycle before. Atal Bihari Vajpayee extends a hand in Lahore. India got Kargil. Manmohan Singh pursued dialogue. India got 26/11. Even Modi extended the olive branch, remember, by that unannounced surprise visit to Lahore. What did India get? Pathankot and Pulwama. Every good gesture was answered with bloodshed. Track to diplomacy between the governments is strategy, which we can agree on. that is understandable. But romanticizing people-to-people contact while ignoring decades of radicalization, proxy warfare, and societal hostility is not diplomacy. It is self-sabotage. Now, from a history perspective, failures of Pakistan in conventional warfare against India, whether you look at 1948, 65, and then the humiliating defeat in 1971, forced the Pakistani military to pivot towards proxy conflict and asymmetrical warfare from the 1970s onwards. That strategy was simple: destabilize India through terrorism, separatism, and radicalization. Kashmir, Punjab, the Northeast. These were all low-cost proxy wars with high strategic returns for Pakistan, and India paid for it with civilian blood, which is precisely why measures like placing the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance matters. It signals that sponsoring terrorism will now come with strategic consequences. Thus, faucets of water will no longer flow with faucets of blood. The dodo believed danger would never consume it. History remembers what happened next. If you like this content, please smash that like button. And if you disagreed with me, please put in your comments outlining why.